Yo, what's up, guys? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. It's about a remix of is that Furley's? Not is that Furley's? That's Furley's, right? Let's stop programming and start a singing channel. We'll make a lot of money because there's so much money in singing. Singing is a talent that we all have, and we should focus our talents on the singing arts. Dab on them haters. Dab on them haters. What's up, everybody? Okay. So today's live stream, we are gonna go over some questions that I have for some folks out there. And today's a Saturday. We're gonna get started with question number 1. I want to know, question number 1, how long it take you to feel comfortable with programming at a job. So at a job, I don't really care about your university life because the university life differs and varies by so many different variables. So for me, I think I would say 4 to 5 years until I really started to feel like I was a solid programmer at a job. When I was in university and coding, doing my own projects, you don't really know how to gauge what you're doing and if it's like acceptable or not. I think at a job, it feels really different. So if you guys are like programmers in real life, like at a software company, how long did it take you to start being really confident? And let's see, when did you lose the imposter syndrome? It's kind of a similar question, I guess. It's a programming ritual to sing before you start striking any keys on the keyboard. How would I define comfortable? I think I would say being comfortable is, not feeling like you're just randomly putting out code in the world and having like a purpose behind what you're building. Also knowing that your code's going to get released to like 1,000 or 10,000 users. That's when I really started to become comfortable at it. So still an imposter. I think for me, I also have that imposter syndrome even to this very day. It's obviously gotten better, but I remember in the beginning, like when you start working, you're probably wondering like, am I doing this correctly? Is this right? Does this code even work? Right? You still have those thoughts to this very day. So Sean Zhang, 2 years at least to be comfortable with Agile and writing clean code. Yeah. I think you worked Wenderlic. So some of you guys that don't know, I used to be on the Ray Wenderlic team as a tutorial creator. I can't remember what the position is called, but it's like a writer of tutorials. Yeah. Probably no longer on their page for tutorial writers, I'm guessing. Yeah. So today, let's see what kind of snacks I have. Do you guys like cake? Do you guys like cake? I figure I might be on this stream for a little bit. So here is, I'm going to share some cake with everyone. Oh no, it's $6.99 for this lovely case of, it's like a chocolate roll cake that you can buy at your local supermarket. It's so yummy. So yummy. I don't know how you guys feel about people eating on streams. When I watch people eat on streams, I get really uncomfortable. But I'm going to do it anyways. You ate a whole cake once? Oh my God. So this is like a Chinese cake, I think. Or I have no idea what kind of cake this is. Oh, it's so good. And I also have some Taiwan beer. Where am I? Is this really from Taiwan? Okay, brewed and canned by Taiwan Tobacco. I'm going to assume that this is from Taiwan, actually. But yeah. Do I prepare my lunch every day? I pretty much just cook something very simple to, it's like a simple sandwich, and that's my lunch. I find that when I go out and eat lunch, in America, they serve you really, really large portions. So when I eat a lot, especially like a big meal, like a ramen or a lot of carbs, I get really sleepy. And when I come back home, I just want to take a nap. Is it true that the higher ladder you climb in the corp, the less code you're gonna write? Yeah, that's kind of true. That kind of leads me to another question that I have. Okay, so question number two. Maybe I'll shuffle these questions around. So question number 2 is, let's say you're working at a software company for a while now. Should you choose to become an engineering manager or take on the architect role? So I guess I'll be a little more specific about this. Like an engineering manager, typically you still do a little bit of programming, but it's not the core of your job. And the main priorities that you'll focus on is to make sure that the rest of the engineering team is happy at their jobs. Now, this is more of a people skill type of deal. If you're really good at like making people happy and making sure everyone's getting their jobs done, then being an engineering manager might be something that you should look forward to doing. However, let's just be honest here. A lot of engineers are not the most like social type of person. It just doesn't fit the actual like personality traits of a software programmer. So typically, your architect role where you're coding hardcore, maybe 90% of your day involves writing code, writing frameworks, code reviewing, leading the team in terms of what types of technologies to integrate. That's the architect role. So which one's better? I would like to ask you guys which one's better, and what do you feel like you're more suitable at? So we have Dennis White, neither. For me, I would personally, I think earlier on in my career, I would have probably pursued being an architect more, just because it feels like it's a more technical role, and it's a way to like further improve your skill set as a programmer. But now as you get older, programming becomes less appealing. And I think typically for people that have been programming for like 10 to 15 years, programming is not everything in life. And so becoming an engineering manager is, it's easier. It's easier. You don't spend your days and nights like agonizing over product that is released, and you don't sit in like late night meetings with other companies trying to debug your software and provide fixes. It's really stressful being an architect sometimes. Dennis White. So Mustafa says, I picked the architect role any day. Yeah. Yeah, I think for the younger folks, the architect role seems more appealing. Dennis White. I did manager many years ago and didn't like being away from the code. Yeah, I kind of feel that way myself. Sean Zhang says engineer manager has more growth potential because it interfaces with business and schedule side of it. You get to expose to more critical decisions. I would agree with most of what you're saying, Sean. The schedule side of making sure that the engineering is up to speed with everything else that's going on. I actually don't like the scheduling aspect of becoming an engineering lead or engineering manager. Like, it's really painful using Jira, making sure all the tasks are laid out for the next quarter and next half a year. I understand that it has to be done. I just don't want to be the person that does it. Yeah, like you have to chase people down for every little task that's on Jira. And you got to make sure that, okay, every Friday you got to come down, sit in this meeting. What are all the tickets that everyone's assigned to? Make sure that, okay, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done this? How are things looking? What's your status? Do we need to push back these features a couple of weeks because X, Y, and Z is happening? Some people like doing that. I myself, not so much. That's a Scrum Master's job. You'll be surprised. I guess you probably know, but at a lot of software companies, there's no, like, you don't hire a Scrum Master that just does Scrum, right? It's usually like some guy's job that's either the manager or some kind of technical lead. So Mustafa says, I have a question though. What makes a good developer? I've followed your courses and I've been working with a company for the past 4 months. I was pushed back to the role. No, I was pushed up to the role of lead dev since the lead quit. Well, that's good, I guess. Being able to follow the courses, the company now has a lot of confidence in you to be the tech lead. So that aspect of it is great. I think being a tech lead is like having kids. You're never going to be ready to lead a team until you just get into that position. And you're never going to be ready to be a parent until you have kids and all the responsibilities just fall on your shoulders. I think that's how it feels like. Like, you never really know all the things that can go wrong until you're really in that spot. Yitie Lu. Don't want to be a guy who code with their mouth instead of hand. How to climb up the ladder but still do actual hands-on coding skill instead of babysitting other people's tasks. I guess to rephrase this question, you're really trying to ask, like, how do I excel at my job? How do I get my bosses to notice my work without having to be like a super team player type of person, right? And I don't have an answer to that question. If you're working at a smaller startup, then you don't have to worry about hand-holding people. And that's kind of why I prefer a smaller company. Like, there are a lot of benefits to a big company, like, oh, you get to have free lunches and maybe these big parties, Christmas parties every year where you have like 500 people go to the downtown city hall and have a gigantic party. That sounds great, but after you've been to one of these parties, like, they're so meaningless and pointless that a lot of people just want to like stay home with their kids and maybe just have a quiet night. So I don't know. I kind of prefer a small company. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Okay, next question. Question number 3. So let's see this here and that. All right. What do you guys think happens when you get tired or bored of your job? You know, when you're programming for 8 hours a day for 10 years of your life, you're eventually going to get bored of it, right? Nothing's going to last forever. I guess it's kind of similar to like a marriage. After 10 years, you get bored and you get tired. Do you continue working as a programmer, or what happens after this point of your life? Because imagine if you're programming like starting after college, you're probably 21, 22 years old. And when you hit this point, it's probably like either your early 30s, maybe late 20s to mid 30s is when you hit this point. Do you just jump from job to job and be, continuously programming? What happens? Okay, so you move up to management. You have to make projects to get money. Yeah. Dennis White says, I get tired. When I get tired or bored, I go somewhere else. So that's the route that I've chosen in my life. For me, like, going to another job is pretty exciting. I like doing that. I can understand why other people don't. I don't let that bad feeling at the company ruin my passion for my profession. Yeah, that's also how I justify my decision for leaving a company. So Mutayeb, App Overflow. Every time I watch your course, I feel you really do the best of your ability to expose almost every advanced parts. You're not like those silly lectures. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Yeah, you're welcome, man. For every lesson, every video that I put out, there always has to be something new and advanced about the lesson. Otherwise, I find it really hard for me to shoot the video, because when I find myself repeating the same topics, I get frustrated and I don't find it that interesting. So I'm always trying to push myself to teach something new that's maybe like not super hard, but something new nonetheless. Sean Zhang says, I will do more open source. So if you get bored at your job, you're saying you're going to go down the open source route of just committing code to open source projects. I don't know if we have time in our lives to do that. I guess we do. You know that some companies out here in the Silicon Valley, they actually give you like 20%. There's a policy where they specify 20% of your time at work can be solely, without question, dedicated to your own hobby, like your own programming hobby. And that means out of 40 hours in a week, 20% of that, which is like 8 to 10 hours, you can think about it that way, maybe one day of the week, is just solely dedicated to you learning something outside of your own, programming tasks at the company. So think about it. Silicon Valley treats you really, really well as a programmer. You get one day out of the week, they pay you for it, and you don't have to do anything for the company. Like literally, you can be as selfish as you want for that one single day and just build out your hobby project that you've always been thinking about doing. And, as a matter of fact, you can probably get other team members to join you during that day, and maybe you can have like a big hackathon and just work on some project that has nothing to do with the company. And if you're like the CEO of this type of company, you might be worried about losing your employees this way, because some employees will get they'll get really excited about their own personal project and they might decide to leave the company. And that's the kind of trade-off, because if you don't allow your programmers this type of space or mental space to exercise their creativity, they're going to leave eventually. So it's great. Sean Zhang, $4.99. Thanks for the super chat, man. Thanks for all the great content. Well, thanks for all the support. I really do appreciate it. Yogesh Patel says, I am uploading videos on YouTube regarding iOS development in Hindi. Can you please check my channel and suggest me so I can learn from your channel? You're doing a great job. Should we watch your channel right now? Yogesh Patel. How about we all watch your channel right now and we all critique your video? How's that sound? Some macaroni, what's cooking? Jared Cow, if you get bored at work, perhaps take some initiative and ask yourself, how can I improve this project? That only lasts like a day. I have worked 20 months in a startup, and after all that, I was bored. Moved to a huge tourism company when they tried to use a bunch of good practices that startups usually don't have to do. And like tests, tech talks, hackathons, developer guilds. It was a huge change and I have been enjoying it a lot. Thanks for the tutorials, man. Oh, that's nice. Tests, tech talks. Yeah. Yeah, being at a large company, you do get exposed to more opportunities like this where you're not just focused on like super important features that generate you money. Like at a startup, because you don't have a long runway in terms of the budget for the company, you have to keep on producing what users are asking for. So you don't get the spare time where you can work on these side projects like tech talks and hackathons. For a large scale project, we need to follow which architecture in iOS? So here's my honest opinion about like architecture questions in iOS. Typically, when someone's asking you about what architecture they need to follow, they're not ready to even think about that topic, because the architecture question is pretty obvious what the solution is if you understand what architecture really is. And the solution is really, you have to find what's going to work for your company. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into play. If you choose some kind of reactive MVVM style architecture, you have to make sure everyone at the company knows how to change the code base so that it follows that pattern. If you want to do something like, I don't know what, solid or clean, like clean Swift, or I don't know, these vague patterns out there. But, you know, you have to figure out what everyone's coding style is. So I find that whenever someone asks like, oh, what's the best architecture? They're not really asking the right question. Okay. Let's see. Yogesh, please suggest me. I have a comment in your video. Please help me. I have 4.5K subscribers, but I really want to grow myself and my channel. Okay, let me see. YouTube.com. I'm going to search for Yogesh Patel. And it looks like you have, oh Lord. Okay, we're going to do a YouTube channel review of Yogesh Patel today. And so let me clean up my desktop and try to see if I can show the desktop. Okay, not too bad. Move the OBS out of the way. Okay, so here is Yogesh's channel. He has 4,000 subscribers, which is a really good number for a programming channel. Trust me, I know how hard it is to do a programming YouTube channel. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Okay, where are you, live chat? Bring live chat back. Here you go. So we have, let's see, let's go to home. And okay. Okay, iOS development in Hindi. Okay, is that gonna give me a seizure? I feel like I'm gonna get a seizure from all the lights and the blinking. Languages, Objective-C, Swift, CocoaPods, Alamo Fire, ML, Firebase, AR, Tool, Design. Okay. How does this look? LinkedIn. Wow, that was fast. Wow, I can barely Are you like shy? I can barely see this information that's on the screen. Okay. That was okay. That was that was okay, I guess. That's all right. So depends. To be honest, MVC is sometimes not the best. Yeah. MVC is like pretty good for 90% of everything that you want to build out. And let's face it, most people never get to the phase where you have to go beyond MVC. Right? It's only if you're like a real project, a real company, that you go beyond MVC. And it's pretty rare that you're in that territory anyways. And most people fail their projects before they get to that point. Okay. So back to Yogesh Patel. What kind of feedback do you want? I like to tear people down and then build them back up. That's my style of feedback. So do you want like pure brutal honesty, or do you want something else? Let me know, because thank you so much, sir. Make my day. Oh, we're not done yet, Yogesh. We're not done yet. We're not done yet, man. So here's what I'll say. I'll try to be honest and not too like super brutal about things. So there's a lot of things that you can say about a YouTube channel. Let me just go right off the bat here. When you load into your page, like the banner is kind of weird. It looks like it was done in like Paint or whatever. Like you probably know this already. You can get a better banner up there. This video, like it's very, I would call generic. It doesn't showcase me. It doesn't showcase what you're about. When you're watching YouTube, right? You're really watching for that host, that like the person that makes the YouTube video. Like the intro here doesn't even show what you sound like. So I would think about changing this video so that we can see what your types of videos are like. That's my opinion. Maybe you don't want to do that. I don't really know. Again, the thumbnails are like generic. I'm going to say the word generic a lot because I've visited a lot of iOS channels, and I would say that most iOS channels are very generic looking. The channel is all about you. You are the face of the channel, literally. So, these thumbnails, like you don't have to put your face into the thumbnail. That's not what I'm saying, but I can't tell just looking at these thumbnails, like what the heck, iOS interview. I guess that's I don't want to dive into like a thumbnail discussion. There's a lot of rules that you have to follow. Yeah. So something I don't get about iOS channels or people that make iOS videos on YouTube, it's the one thing that you have to do that's very important is missing in a lot of iOS channels. And the main thing that you want to show is what you're building in your thumbnail. So if people can't see what you're building, they're not going to click into the video. That's just how it works. So at least show a screenshot of the app that you have. Otherwise, I find it very hard to click into the video. So that's just how it is. I don't really have a reason for why it is, but that's why people click into videos. The thumbnail is very important. Having text in the thumbnail is like, I don't know. So let's see videos. And so you see these two videos right here, the live session, like we see an actual person that makes us want to click in more and see what this person's about. That's my opinion. And yeah, so I don't want to click into these generic thumbnails. I'd rather click into the thing with a face in it. And yeah. But maybe that's just me. Like I like looking at people's faces. See, even this one has a little circle with a face in it. These are very recognizable. And yeah, but it looks good. It looks like your view counts are very high. So we have 10K, 12K. Yeah, Swift Node.js, iOS interview. So this one has a lot more views than the other ones, which is it's okay. Custom switch, custom stepper, segment control, custom collection view. See, these I feel like these types of thumbnails are really good for Swift beginners like this. It has a lot of views, 36,000. It looks like you have a lot of videos on your channel. So I guess one thing I'll take back is it seems like you've established this as the channel's theme, the template for the videos. So now it's more of a recognized, like a recognized pattern. So yeah, maybe you can just stick with this. It seems like it's your thing now to have it look like this. It seems like it would be very hard to change the style or the branding. I don't know, whatever advertising words you want to put in there. Okay, so that's it for Yogesh. Hassan says he should change the profile image. Suit with a tie. Man, we are on YouTube. Throw that tie away. Yeah, this feels very out of place. The profile image. Let's see. Juan Manuel. I got banned from my project manager for installing Jenkins, and because nobody told me that, almost got me fired. I felt bad, like I wanted to leave the company. Thanks to the CTO, I kept my job. I think if this was me in the later parts of my career, I would just leave the job. I don't feel like the project manager should ban someone for installing Jenkins. I don't see installing Jenkins as a horrible offense. It really depends on what you're installing it on and how you're using Jenkins. But I don't see it as like something that incredibly bad. And so for me, if I do something like this, and if someone really feels like they're going to chew me out for doing that, I would just leave the company. Yeah. Yeah. So Yogesh, it seems like your channel is doing pretty well. I don't know why like some of the later videos have gotten lesser views than the ones in the past. It seems like you had a good thing. You had a lot of good views on a lot of like older videos. It seems like there's a drop off. I'm not sure why. Yeah. Yeah. You guys notice that a lot of iOS YouTube channels have kind of died? Has anyone noticed that? Remember there used to be a lot more active iOS channels, and now there's like no active iOS channels on YouTube anymore. Right? Am I wrong about that? It seems like it's all kind of died out. Aside from like even my channel is not that active anymore. It seems like there was that big that big spike when Swift UI came out. Like when Swift UI came out, everyone was really excited about it, and everyone, like including their grandmothers, started releasing Swift UI tutorials. And, like people were copying each other. I'm not going to say who's copying who, but a lot of those thumbnail titles are very similar to other people's thumbnail titles. Yeah. Let's see. So Sean Zhang says, how to help junior dev with technical problem without having to do the work for him. Let me try to rephrase this question. So let's say you're at a job, you're someone that's been working there like 2 years. You hire a junior dev, comes on, he has to ramp up, and he has a lot of like technical questions and how to fix this, fix that, how to launch this, how to get things running. How do you help this type of person without having to handhold every step of the way? I ran into that problem as well. I feel like it's half, like the responsibility is 50% of the company and then 50% on the engineer, on the junior dev. Like they have to put in a lot of effort, and the company also has to do a good job in ramping someone up and making sure that they understand the processes at that company. So yeah, I would say just do your best at showing them some of the foundation of how things work, and then make sure that you show them enough without hand holding every step of the way. I can't think of a better way to answer that question, really. Yogesh says, my subscribers are very supportive. They always motivate me, and I'm growing now in past 6 months. Nice. So the past 6 months. So you have about 5,000 subscribers in let's see, how long have you been doing this? About 2 years. That's not bad. Programming channels are hard to build. They are very hard to build. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, you can only talk about the same thing so much. Oh, how I agree with that. The reason people did that is because SEO. Yeah, probably. I'm always watching your videos, and I have learned lots of things from you. Yeah. Ask him why the language of the channel content is not changed to English. Wait, are you not doing this in English? Let me try to watch one of your videos here.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. सेट कर दो इसको. ओके, इसका मैं नाम लिख देता हूँ ईमेल प्लेस ऑर्डर. ले लिया. Press and drag button.
Okay. So it looks like you're doing a storyboard style tutorial. Looks kind of like this, right?
तो इसकी एक्शन होगी, ठीक है. Connect to the UI button and connect. All good. अभी डायरेक्टली जाते हैं व्यू कंट्रोल में, ठीक है. ओके फाइन. सो नाउ सबसे पहले मुझे यहाँ पे क्या करना है कि मैंने क्या किया है, एक्सटेंशन बनाया, ठीक है. एक्सटेंशन आप सबको पता ही होगा. अगर किसी को नहीं.
It seems like you jumped back from English and Hindi. I'm not sure what language this is. But yeah, I've worked with a lot of like Indian people, and this is what they do at work too. And I can only understand the English part, obviously. I would say that your screen is. See, that's the problem with like storyboard development. The screen isn't big enough. So you're doing a good job. I like how you minimize things so that you can only see the code here. You can't really avoid this problem where the screen is like it's so small, and you have to show the code also. Yeah, there's really no problem or no solution around this. I would say, like in terms of the microphone, the audio, like I have a crap ton of microphones, maybe I can send over microphones to you, Yogesh, because I can hear your keyboard pretty loud, or the clicking. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm gonna assume like 90% of people don't really care about that. But yeah, being a YouTuber, that stuff kind of, I don't know, whatever. I don't really care about that stuff too much, actually. Where are we? How do you stay coding productive in the office with all those meetings and endless pings from everywhere? Dude, tell me about it. So what I do is I turn off my email client. I put my phone on silent. I turn my phone upside down. And if I have to, I can go somewhere really quiet where there's no one else. And that's how you stay productive at coding. But having said that, sometimes the whole day, like an entire Friday, is just meetings after meetings after meetings. You just can't avoid it. Love me long time. So here's a funny thing that I find on my channel. Or I guess people don't understand how the internet works. I guess I'll show this comment. So don't leave your email on the internet. You're going to get spammed to death. And listen, no one has the time to like contact you and help you. No one's that like, no one's that generous with their time to just contact you and help you with their project. This is not how the internet works. So people, stop doing this to other people, I guess. I find that having done this YouTube channel for way too long, you start getting annoyed by just everyone. You do begin to develop this big ego, and anyone that asks you for help, you just get really annoyed. Okay, one more question. So there's something that I've been wondering for some time. And the question is, does age matter for programming jobs? And when let's say you're applying to work at company X, and they see that you're maybe in your 40s or maybe 50s, would they look at this candidate the same way as they look at someone that's just graduating out of college? Like, obviously you have to factor in the amount of money that you have to pay this person. Hiring someone fresh out of college is like definitely going to be cheaper. If you're going to hire someone in their 40s, you have to pay them for their experience. And there's obviously like trade-offs, pros and cons that you have to, weigh out. So one thing that I noticed is in the Silicon Valley, software engineers are typically very young. So I'm going to say from early 20s to late 20s. That's where you'll find maybe like 70% of software engineers land in that age range. And then, you'll still find a lot of more senior developers, especially senior developers that are older. But as they get older and older, it starts to thin out. And most people, they start to do their engineering manager roles. There aren't a lot of architects because it's hard to become an architect. And what happens when you get older? Do these software engineers just like quit? Do they have enough money saved in their bank accounts to not do programming anymore? I don't really know what happens when you get older, but there's also this this thing about hiring older engineers. You don't think they're as committed to a company. When you hire a fresh out of college graduate, you can pretty much make them become the slave of the company, have them be a full-time code monkey, and just make them do everything that you want them to do. When you try to ask an older person to do this, you'll get much more pushback from their side. That's what I think. So Dennis says, I would like to say age doesn't matter, but I notice as I get older that it does matter. Ageism is a real thing in this profession. Yep. Ageism definitely does make its way into evaluations. Remember when you were young, when you were like 23, 24, and you're probably working under someone that's a lot older, maybe mid 30s. You're probably wondering, like, why are they still here? Everyone else is so young. Why is there this really old guy here? I know a lot of us had that same kind of thought process. Mm-hmm. Dharmendra. Okay, so here's another thing that gets really annoying when people like spam the chat like this. So Dharmendra, we're gonna make an example out of this today. So you're welcome to come back, but we are going to hide you. We're going to remove you. Put user in timeout. We're gonna do that. I don't have admins to do this for me, but that's what we'll do. You mentioned audio, but I can hear the smacking your lips. Yeah, so that's a problem with like being too close to the mic, and I don't know if that's on purpose, such that your voice is clear, but we don't hear your lips. So that's this thing right here. It's always a problem. I always try to fix that, but it's a bad habit. It's definitely a bad habit that has to be fixed, but that's why I don't really go into audio too much. Wow. Okay, it's time to crack open the beer. No one wants to hear you eating. Yeah. Beer out of a mug. I'm looking for a new job. So I'm having lots of job interviews these days, but my age was never asked. You'll never get asked your age. I think it's almost illegal in California. I think it's illegal to ask specifically someone's age. But obviously, the internet does exist, and you can easily find out someone's age. Like, let's be honest, you can find out how old someone is pretty easily if you just do like a backwards, like a reverse search through someone's history and when they graduated and so on and so forth. Am I gonna plan to travel to Dubai? I would love to go. If anyone knows of a tech conference outside of the US that wants to sponsor me to give a talk, let me know. There was an opportunity. Someone reached out from Moscow, Russia, and I think it was 2 years ago. They were gonna fly me out to Moscow, hotel, and just to have me give a talk. I think I was busy with another event, and so I wasn't able to make it out to that one. I kind of regret it. I kind of wish I had taken up that chance. I think here's what I might do in terms of travel plans. I've always been thinking about maybe, taking this show on the road, literally. Maybe I can just have a laptop. So I'm going to buy that new 16-inch MacBook Pro laptop. I'm going to buy that. I'm going to tear down my entire computer setup and just work from that laptop directly. It's going to be like $3,000-$4,000, but whatever. That's a small price to pay for a machine that lasts like 5 to 6 years. I'm going to take everything down. I'm going to move out of this place and then just travel and do this as like a travel job, because honestly, I don't have to be here, and I'll just travel places and just see the world. Maybe that's what I'll do. You see white here. Surprisingly, out of my entire family, I probably have the least white hair. I'm surprised that it's stayed as dark as it is now. Yeah. If I didn't do this whole YouTube thing, I would be less stressed out and probably have less white hair. So Alexander Olival, have you ever used a Laravel? How hard was it to transition from web to mobile development? So I used to do Flex web development with Adobe Flex, and that was more of a programming platform than an HTML-based web platform. So that was easier. And then I moved from Adobe Flex to briefly HTML5, and then I became a iOS Android developer. So that was a very easy transition for me. The thing with Laravel is like there are many other platforms out there that are very similar to Laravel. And so I have that course on NodeJS that you can find down below. And in that, we use like Sales MVC. It's very, very similar to Laravel. I've never done Laravel, but I've had projects where the backend code was done in PHP Laravel. So I've had a chance to look at that backend code base. It's very similar. You have your controllers, you have your views, and you have your routing. All that is done. And yeah, I would say that if I were to do this all over again, maybe I would just do web development. It's so much easier. When I'm making this Fullstack social Node.js course, I find the HTML part super easy, since you don't have to constantly run this stupid application in the simulator. Running the app and then clicking on the app just takes freaking forever. Being a digital nomad. Yeah, be a digital nomad. That's kind of, I don't know, it's like, so when I was doing the teaching in Shanghai thing for 2 years in a row, the first year I had a lot of fun. The second year was really stressful for a lot of different reasons. when I went to Shanghai, they changed the venue. The schedule was changed as well. You basically wake up at like 7 in the morning. You get ready. You have to you have to make sure that you catch the bus at 8 a.m. or 8:15 or 8:30. There's like 3 buses that come to pick up everyone at the hotel, and there's like 1,000 people that not 1,000, maybe like 200 people that needs to get to the university. So you have to wake up super early, and then you stay at the university until like 5 to 6 p.m. And then maybe at 7 p.m. in the evening, you finally get someone to drive you back to your hotel. When you get back there, it's 8 p.m. and then you have to prepare for the next day. And preparing is like a lot of work as well. So basically, you just work around the clock the entire time for the entire duration. What was it, like 10 days? Man, doing that is extremely stressful. But if I can just have my own thing and just travel, be a digital nomad, I think that would be a lot better, actually, now that I think about it. SF tech salaries are crazy. Well, considering that you have to pay, I don't know, $3,000 a month for a room. If you want to live in San Francisco and you want to have a 1-bedroom apartment, it's gonna cost you like $3,500 to $4,000. If you live like outside of the downtown area, it's maybe cheaper. It's still very expensive, but that's what you have to pay. The salaries do cover your expenses a lot. But there's a lot of pros and cons about it. I don't want to dive too deep into the pros and cons, but when you're young, you can do this stuff forever. But once you get older, it's kind of a drag. No pun intended there. Should you encourage your child to be a programmer or be a gamer? Yeah, whatever makes sense for them. You can't really push people into becoming one thing or another. That's what I find. Dharmendra, Sales NBC was a great series. Well, that's what I hope for everyone to appreciate the content. Should I learn Flutter? I don't know. Should you? It's kind of like saying, should I learn how to ride a bike or something? I guess. Would I be totally lost if I've never built UIs programmatically, but want to buy your AppStore course? I want to learn programmatic approach. So the AppStore course is pretty easy to follow. Obviously, I think that you should have no problem following it. It's literally me typing out every line of code. If you can't follow that, then it might be difficult. Yeah. Something else that I'll say is that I'm going to move away from typing out every line of code in these lessons. And I think I've already started doing that in the Fullstack course. I'm thinking about a way to specify some requirements for the course, because there's much more things that I want to talk about instead of, here's how to use a stack view, here's how to use a collection view. That's more beginner material, right? Obviously. So, things like reactive programming, how to make sure that you keep your states clean, and how to propagate state changes into the entire application through something like a view model. You have to talk about these topics, and you can't just go from the beginning. Like, here's how a table view works. You have to register a cell, and you go on and on and on, and somewhere down the road you talk about state management. It's very hard to progress all the way from beginning to that stage. Uh, last Silk set. Marlene, you should buy it. I've learned the programmatic way from Brian. I was really reluctant at first, but now I can't imagine going back to storyboards. Yeah. The thing that's funny is, Lily, hello. The thing that's funny about development is once you find a better solution for doing one thing, you just go back and you tear apart other people that use the inferior technology. You'll find that everywhere in programming. Hi Brian, I'm one of your students. I'm following one of your courses. You were teaching us about adding extension. Not sure why, but after adding the extension, the next code you did doesn't work. I don't know. Yeah, you'll have to leave a comment on the web page that has that particular lesson. The source code is always available, right? Yeah. Here's something else that I'll say. If something that doesn't work, you have to download the source code and you have to dig through my code, which I guarantee works like 99% of the time. Rarely do I put a download link to source code that doesn't compile. So, like, you have to go through that package to see how the code works. So how to become a full stack developer with iOS development. There's that course that's available down in the description below with the full stack social course, NodeJS, iOS, HTML. And lately for that full stack course, I've been teaching some Vue.js examples. Your code does not compile 100% because of the pods. Well, yeah, obviously. I've been packaging my code with the pods now, and there's a couple of reasons why I'm doing that. When I download my own projects to run, I find it easier just to have the pods in there, and I guess that's the main reason. If you don't have the pods, you just install it with pod install. If you don't have the node modules, you have to do like npm-i or npm-i to install. What time is it here? Wow, it's 2:39 a.m. Oh my God. In Malaysia, I'm still awake watching your live stream. Well, I hope you're going to go to bed soon. I don't mean to keep you. Freemute says that JavaScript is so hard to understand after you learn Swift. It's just weird. Yeah. What should I say? Having done JavaScript development, iOS, Android, Node, Golang. What else am I doing currently? I think those are the main languages that I program in currently. You know what the favorite language I like to program in is actually? You know what the best language that I like out of those languages? Which one do you think is the one that I like the most? I'll let you guys guess. And I've also done some Flutter and some Flutter as well. T-Ways back. Yeah. Wow. So here's some guesses. We got some Swift. We got some JS, Kotlin, JS. What were the options? So these are the options: JS, Java, Kotlin, Go, HTML, Objective-C, and maybe some Dart with Flutter. So the best language for a single person team, I think, is JavaScript. And then the reason why I like JavaScript now is it's just easy to type. I don't like typing out like all this code anymore. I find Swift to be really tedious. But I think that's just me though. PHP, Java. Yeah. The more I type out iOS Swift code, the more I don't like it. I wouldn't even go as far as to say like maybe even Flutter is better than Swift now. After I made that video, I've had a lot of feedback, a lot of thoughts about Flutter again. And now doing some more JavaScript programming, I'm reevaluating what I think about Swift now. My opinion on Swift has diminished over the last month by a lot, like a significant amount. Unfortunately. Okay, so Marlon says, can you give an example of the difference between Swift and JavaScript, like how it's less code? So very easy example on why I like JavaScript more than Swift. Let's say you just want to render out a vertical list, and inside of the list are rows where there's a image here, a label, and then on the right there's like a button of some kind. Doing this in JavaScript is like so easy. It's so beyond easy. Like it's literally maybe like 5 or 6 lines of code. Literally like 5 or 6 lines of code with either a React.js or a Vue.js framework. Doing this in Swift requires you to like register some cells, dequeue some stuff, set up your entire controller, draw your layouts, maybe in the storyboard or in some code. It's definitely not 6 lines of code. And then don't even get to the topic of if something changes inside of your model layer, like let's say the text in a particular row has to change, right? You have to manage that stuff manually. I want the framework to manage the state for me. I don't want to do that stuff in iOS manually. Yeah. Oh, the joys of doing your Swift programming yourself. So I do agree I'm talking framework and not language. There isn't a equivalent framework to something like React.js or Vue.js on Swift. If there was, then things would be so much better. Now with the introduction of Swift UI, Swift UI is more like a Vue.js or React.js framework. That's, the Swift team saw how things are evolving and what a modern UI language looks like. So they decided to evolve into Swift UI, where you just provide everything in a like declarative syntax. And that's why everyone likes it. It's much faster, easier, and managing the state of the application is like straightforward. Yes, so Swift UI will change the tedious. Is it the tedium? Is tedium a word? Tediousness? I feel like it's more tedium. What do you think about the future of machine learning? I don't know. I don't know machine learning. Why do people ask me questions about things that I don't know? That's another thing that I don't understand on the internet. I'm not freaking god of programming. I don't understand everything. Julio, feels like you made a video course at the same time I need in my life. I love the full stack course and everything. Oh, I haven't released today's video for the full stack course. I'll get to that after the live stream. Everything JS you've introduced in the last couple of months. Yeah. If there's anything that, like, the only suggestion that I'll have for Swift programmers is you have to learn HTML and JavaScript at a certain point in your life, in your programming career. You'll have to learn HTML and JavaScript. There's really no way of avoiding it. So I would say that learn it as early as you can. Julio, $2.99 super chat. All right, for the god of programming, not the god of programming. Yeah, Telu, gotta run for lunch. I'll see you later, man. I have to run for lunch pretty soon too. Gigi says, how do you support landscape mode in the app? Easiest way to stack everything in stack views and lay them out. Yeah, probably. How many of you guys have actually had to support a landscape mode in your app? I've only had to do that once in my life, and that was for the iPad. If you're not programming for the iPad, it's pretty rare that you have to do landscape. I guess if you're like a video player, then landscape makes sense. But outside of an iPad, a video player, I don't see landscape being that like super crucial. Even for the iPad, using it in portrait mode. Okay, maybe I'll take that back. Landscape is pretty helpful in iPad. All right, so it looks like everyone's checking out, so I might as well check out of the stream as well. Ryan Acevedo, what do you suggest for documentation for MVC? Your code should document itself. That's what I suggest. Most of the time, if your code does the self-documenting, then you don't have to write the documentation yourself. Make an iPad or make an app for iPhone and iPad at the same time. That's why I don't want to do the job twice. Yeah. Sometimes it's just easier to have like two separate layout classes. That's just how it is. Please make more educational videos like the My Journal course. It's super awesome. I learned a lot from the full stack course. Yeah. So, the full stack stuff is more interesting to me, at least, because I like to talk about things outside of the Swift programming language. Web programming is one of my more favorite things to do now. And yeah, programming is super tedious. Programming is tedious enough as it is. Trying to do it in Swift is like tedious squared. Yeah. Going to farmer's market. All right. I think I'll see everyone in a live stream probably next week. DJ Kim, how much do I charge for freelance jobs? It really depends. Like $5,000 for minimum, at least. If it's not a $5,000 project, then I don't even want to talk about it, because the overhead is too much. And yeah, like a $10,000 to $20,000 job is what I'll take as a freelance job. If it's not that, then it's just not doesn't make sense for me to take on a project of a small budget. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully everyone has had their questions taken in for the stream. A month. No, I mean just a project. Like, project budget. I don't know if you have experience like giving out a evaluation on a project of how much it costs and how long it'll take. Just, project-based estimate pricing. Yeah, I will see everyone later. Peace.